Really successful summit of about 13 countries in the Great Lakes area, and South Africa is part of the signatories of the peace process in this region, largely revolving around the DRC, to try and consolidate and secure the peace process in the DRC. It was actually wonderful to see so many countries and a number of heads of state working together to advance the peace process that was started some 10 years ago, and working together to revitalize the peace process in the DRC, which is facing enormous peace challenges at the moment, with a number of armed groups in the eastern part of the DRC, particularly M23, which is just resurged and causing a lot of mayhem. 800,000 people are displaced, and a number of people, and recently 140 people were killed and massacred, and women and children are being raped and molested on an ongoing basis. And now what we were doing is to consolidate the East African community fighting force that is going to help with the peace process. As South Africa, we are still heavily invested in this area as part of the United Nations peacekeeping force, which we call MONUSCO. But now the countries in the region, and we are a signatory, a guarantor really, are now recommitting themselves to ensure that there's peace, and we've called for the fighting armed forces in the eastern part to desist from going on with the conflict, and the fighting force is now going to intervene to install peace in this area. So the summit was really successful because it demonstrates that African countries want to have African solutions to the conflicts that are continuing to go on on our continent, and the revitalization of this peace process for cooperation and development is now really going to take off, and it's really going to get a lot of support. We also discussed Sudan. The conflict that's going on in the Sudan between the two generals and their forces was something that we found of great concern, and we've now called on them to desist. And we were also briefed about efforts that are being made by one of their neighbors, South Sudan, to ensure that conflict is stopped, and that they go to the negotiating table, and the peace agreement that was reached is now implemented. So all in all, it's a good summit. It shows that the leaders and countries on the continent are now focusing more on silencing the guns and making sure that peace reigns and there's cooperation and development.